Righto. So for this one, we're making a side table. Now I have already made this side table, not because of pre-recording or anything. At the time of designing and making this side table, the place we were in, there was only space for one, but we've moved to a new place. So I've got to make another one. This is the benefit of having drawings. I wish I had a template. I could have just copied and zipped it out and would have been even easier.
But then I wouldn't have been able to make this video. Just like any other woodworker, I love trying to save timber as much as I can, and that's why I try to use my bandsaw. And in this particular case, I was milling my timber to 30 mil and then finishing it to 25 mil. So in reality, I ended up using up more timber and more time. Now, timber I can justify, time I can't. So potentially in the future, I would look at just milling the timber on the table saw instead. Once the legs were milled down to the right thickness, I started cutting them down to the right length, making sure I get that continuous grain in that 45 angle. Any build like this, which has multiples of any part of the build, it's always beneficial to have templates, and I really wish I did have templates. But the way around it is to take your time to set up the first one, sort of have stop blocks or marking lines or whatever. Once you get that first one, the other ones go very quickly. There's no thinking about it, just rinse, repeat. Here I'm just doing the 10-degree cut on the underside of the leg to introduce that splay for the legs. I'm doing all of them together because it just helped me cut once, rinse and forget. I took my sweet little time here marking out the lines for the next 60-degree cut. I think I was enjoying myself at this point. I think it was the songs or the podcast I was listening to, not really thinking much about what I was doing, to be very honest. But again, you can see here I've set up a stop block there to make the 60-degree cuts at the same length.
So I've made a slight mistake. So I don't know if this mistake is because I changed the design a little bit, or if it is because I wasn't paying attention. So the leg has a 10-degree cut here, which is there. That makes it go outward, like you can see on this. However, to accommodate for that, initial design was that this line would just flow in here, and I would make that 10-degree cut or 80-degree cut here. But because I wanted that continuous grain design on this one, I made a 45 cut. But obviously that is not going to be a 45. It is going to be, I don't know what it is going to be. So that's what I want to figure out. There's nothing I can do about it. What I'm going to end up is with a little bit of loss of material here and here. So it's something like that. And something like that. And it is what it is. I'll lose a little bit of height and length, but that's not going to change anything, change the design as such. It's frustrating, it's annoying, but it is what it is. So that's what I'm going to do now. Figure out what that angle needs to be, and then yeah, back onto it.
While old mate here is trying to figure it out manually, I thought best do it digitally. I'm not gonna lie, it was a bit of a struggle to find what the angle needed to be manually. I was getting 50 degrees, I was getting 49 degrees, I was getting close enough but not the exact thing. So I thought the best solution would be to double check it on a CAD drawing, and that's what I did, simply because I didn't want to / couldn't afford making any more mistakes. Now that that angle was sorted, I could move forward. And in the past, when I did the first table, I really struggled with joining the 60-degree angle pieces together. So I got this idea for a double pin jig from Tamar's video at 3x3 Customs. I'll put a link on the video for the one she's done, but I've done the exact same thing, but instead of a 10-degree angle, I've done a 60-degree angle. And you can see here how it is coming in handy. I'm marking out where the holes need to be first and just lining them, clamping it and drilling them through, and just rinse and repeat for all sides. The one thing that I do want to stress upon is to make the jig with hardwood if you can, because I made a test jig with softwood and it did not last long. So just one thing to keep in mind. Funny how the only thing I use the hand tool for is cutting dovels. Yeah, good old trusty domino joiner, just going zip zip zoop zoop, and in 6 turns I was done with that part of the joinery. I know domino joiners get a bit of flack on the internet, but this is exactly why we have domino joiners, for this specific joinery. I did not want to make another jig for it. I'd done the dry fitting at least 6 or 7 times by this stage, so I was pretty confident for the glue ups, and we leave it at that. And just so you're also aware, this is the appropriate footwear when you're doing glue ups. Now, I'm not gonna lie, but giving those roundovers was an absolute shit fight because of the amount of tear out that I got. Now, I don't know if that was because of the dullness of the bit or of the hardness of the wood. Now, something that I've never done in the past is give the project a bit of a clean with mineral spirits before applying the finish. I have seen some woodworkers do it, so I thought I'd give it a go. Truthfully, I don't know if it made much difference. I have confessed to this in the past that Luvos Kunos is one of my favorite products to use. So I'm trying to Miyagi the shit out of this product. Sort of. Only wax on, no wax off. Rubbing up all the finish with a small rag and a sponge in it. So I've done 3 coats of the finish. The first coat is the thickest, and then the subsequent ones are thinner. That sort of has always worked for me, so I continue doing that. Now that I've finished both, I thought I'd show them together so you can see what the differences are and what I've done differently. This one's the old one, this one's the new one. The color is a little bit different because obviously this timber was bought earlier and it has had some exposure from sunlight. This one hasn't. The other difference is this one was finished with hard wax oil of a different company, and this one was finished with Luvos Kunos, as you would have seen. So yeah, that's also different. Not really makes much difference in terms of the finish, but thought you should be aware. So I'll bring you in closer to see what the exact differences are. So this one's the new one and this one's the old one. So there's a couple of differences you can see on top. You can see when the glass is put there, you can see the end grain over here, whereas this one doesn't show the grain. I tried to keep it continuous. And that's what I was trying to explain on the video earlier, that that's your 80 degree that continues and matches the angle. Whereas in this one, there is no 80 degree continuation here, but it is a 50 degree cut there to match that 10 degree at the bottom. The other difference is in the joinery. You can see a couple of screw holes here which connect these pieces perpendicular to or not perpendicular 60 degrees to each other, like that, and pocket holes on the bottom side. What I've done on the top side is try to align it with a dowel, and I can almost tell you it didn't work. So I had a lot of trouble with the joinery. Even though that's a simpler joinery, I struggled. I wish I made a jig for this screw hole. It would have been easy what I did with this one. Difference with this one is you see no joinery. So yeah, obviously this is glued, but if it wasn't, you could pull it apart, but that one you certainly can't. Please share your thoughts on which one you like more or which one you don't like at all, or yeah, just share your thoughts in the comments. That's much appreciated, and thank you for sticking till the end. That's also much appreciated. That's my take on a very simple yet slightly complicated side table.